take a look at performing operation with functions. Now, this might not seem like something you really have to concern yourself with. It actually is very applicable to a lot of different things. Say, for example, you want to buy yourself a new car, and they're offering both a discount and a rebate. These are both functions of how much the car costs. They can be added together and combined in order to get yourself a better deal. A profit. Profit is revenue minus cost. Depending upon what kind of a business you have different types of revenue, different types of costs. But these two functions are what we put together in order to figure out what our profit is going to be. Taxes. Based on this stuff, there's a whole lot of different functions that go into that. But in general, functions can be added together, functions can be subtracted, functions can be multiplied. The only time when things get a little on the strange side is when we got to do division. We need to make sure that whenever we divide, the denominator does not hit 0. If the denominator goes to 0, then we've got a problem. Things don't work. So this is just the notation that you are going to see for them. It isn't something that you necessarily need to have written down. So here we go. I want to go and figure out what these are going to be. Now it says find h plus g and then parentheses 2. All this means is that we are going to put 2 into the functions when we add them together. So what is the g of x? Well, that's x plus 4. What is h of x? X minus 2. So when we work this out, what I would recommend doing, they want h plus g. So h is x minus 2. What's the g function? X plus 4. Now it's just going to be like adding like terms like we usually have. So what's this going to be? Well, I got an x here, I have an x here. X and x are 2x, correct? Would you agree with that? Negative 2 plus 4, well, that would be plus 2. If I put those together, that's what I get, right? That sort of kind of makes sense? Put the stuff together. So now, I need to have the 2 in there. So I'm going to take the 2, and I'm going to put in the 2 there. So this 2 here goes in there. Because remember, just like any other function that we have, whatever is on number is in the parentheses, that is what gets put into the function. So, what's 2 times 2? 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. So, this answer is 6. That is if we take the h function, the g function, add them together, plug in the 2, that's what we end up with. Now, the neat part of this is where it says find the algebraic sum. It's right there. If we put these together, this is what it looks like. I can plug any number in there for x that I want. They told us to put in 2, so I figured out what 2 is. So generally, you're going to want to go and figure out what the function is when you combine them, then put the number in. Now, could have I just put 2 into h and 2 into g and gotten the answers? Well, sure I could. If I plug in 2 here, what is 2 plus 4? 6. If I put 2 in here, what is 2 minus 2? 0. What's 6 plus 0? 6. That's the number I got over here. So what happens if I want to find g minus h? What was g again? G is x plus 4 minus what is h? h is x minus 2. Now, one of the things that you're going to have to remember here is when you have a negative out in front of a parenthesis, makes everything negative, right? So if you want, this would look like x plus 4 minus x plus 2. Negative goes here, negative goes over here. So what is x minus x? How many x's do I have left? I have 0 x's. I have no x's left. So what am I going to get out of this when I put 4 and 2 together? What do I get? I just get 6. All I get. So that means that this here will be 6. Is that always going to be the case? Yeah. Whatever number I put in, it's always going to be 6. Put it in up here. If I put negative 2 up here, what is negative 2 plus 4? 2. If I put in negative 2 over here, what is negative 2 minus 2? So I end up with what? Negative 4. But now this is supposed to be g minus h. Well, what is 2 minus negative 4? Plus plus, and I end up with what? 6. It does not matter what numbers I put in, I always get the 6. What it really boils down to is adding like terms. That is the bottom line for dealing with this. Just adding like terms. Now, if I want to do it on a graph, that's easy enough to do. F of x. Let's say that f of x is going to be equal to 3. So that means that 1, 2, 3 goes through here, always at 3. The other one, it says y is equal to 2x. So for g of x, means if I put 0 in, I get that. If I put 1 in, what would I get? If I put 1 in for x, I get what? 2. If I put 2 in for x, I get what? 4. If I put 3 in, obviously it's going to be 6. Then I'm going to get 8. 10. So I've got a line going through, kind of looks like this. Where can I get my eyes to work properly? There we go. So there's my line. Now, okay, so what does that do? What good does that do me? If I combine these together, what am I always going to do? Well, f of x is always 3. This is always 2x, right? If I combine them, I would get 2x plus 3. Just add 3 more. So if I combine them together, what I end up with is going to be this line parallel to the other one, but it's going to be going through here. So, does that work? Well, what happens if x is equal to 0? X is 0, I should get 3, right? So, I have f plus g of x. What's f? 3. What's g? 2x. So I just end up with whatever number added with 3. Now, using a graph for this isn't usually the way we go with it, but I'm just showing it to you if you actually run across this. So now it has f minus g. Well, g. If I added 3 before, what am I going to do now? I'm going to subtract Problem is this one's really going to look way different because what is F? F is 3 minus what is G? 2x. So this is going to be negative 2x plus 3. And change the whole thing around. So now all of a sudden you've got a negative slope going down through 3. And so you end up having a line coming through here. Now, like I said, this is a lot harder to take a look at in your mind. When you're going through and doing this, and they say do it geometrically, avoid that. Simply go through and do it algebraically, add them together, subtract them, and work at it from there. Geometrically, we would really only do that if we're really working with some strange-looking functions for you to use. So, let's take a look at this one. Multiplying functions. Okay. If they tell me h and g, and they want us to put in negative 4. When two letters are next to each other, it's just multiplication, correct? So, what is the h function? H function is sitting right here, and that is x plus 3. What is the g function? The g function is right there, and that is x minus 6. Does that look like something you've done before? It should just look like FOIL. So all we got to do is take this times that, x squared, that times that, minus 6x, those two, plus 3x, those two, minus 18. X squared minus 3x minus 18. Now, this is that function. This is what g of x is, or hg of x is. So what number do I got to plug in now? Negative 4. So that means that you see this. Negative 4 goes in here. It has to be squared. Negative 4 goes in there. So, what's negative 4 squared? 16. Here, 12. There, 18. So if I go and add all these together, that gives me 28 minus 18, so I end up with 10. Now I realize it looks like this, but this is the process that we have to go through for this. So when I get your assignments back and I see just answers on there, it's impossible. You need to write it out, show the work that you did to get to this point. Questions on what you see there. What I did, how I did it, how I worked with it. Now, notice I didn't talk about anything where it said d was equal to the reals, d was equal to the negative integers. I didn't worry about that. Although we are going to have some concern with it when it comes to division. So, let's take a look at this one here. We're supposed to find f of g of negative 4. Where x is that, g is that. Same thing as before. We know this is that, so we end up with x plus 3 and x minus 5. FOIL it out. Now, if I'm looking just for a number, could I plug in 4 just like it is there, if I felt like it? And the answer is yes. If I don't need the actual function, I can just plug the number in where it sits. just as long as I know that it's got to be multiplied. So what I could do is that legal? All we're doing is trying to evaluate these two functions being multiplied together at those values. So let's see, this turns out to be -1. That turns out to be -9, so the answer is 9. Now, could have I gone through the FOIL, worked it all out? X squared, let's see, minus 5x plus 3x minus 15. X squared minus 2x minus 15. Now I plug in my -4. So that turns out to be 16 plus 8 minus 15. 16 plus 8 gives me 24 minus 15, which turns out to be 9. Now, which way is easy? Depends. If you've got to do a lot of these, you can create the function that's right down in here, drop it into the graphic calculator, and it'll spit out all of them. Questions? Dividing. All I am going to do is set up f over g. What's f? Well, f happens to be right there, so that's going to be x plus 2. What is g? G is right there. That is x plus 3. Just being divided. Now, there's one catch and one catch only. X cannot be equal to -3. If x is equal to -3, will this thing work? No, because you end up getting 0 in the denominator. Division by 0 is undefined. We get a problem. So, am I putting in -3? The answer is no. I'm putting in what? 6. So that if I put in 6 up here for x, put in 6 down here, well, what is 6 plus 2? 8. What is 6 plus 3? 9. So that means this is just 8. Easy. So, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here, and I want you to give this one a try. See what you come up with. Let's see. We should not have no. There we go. Mr. Anderson, what did you get for a number? 16. Okay. So let's give this a whirl. So we're supposed to add them together. So we got this right here, which is going to be 3x minus 5. And we're supposed to add in the g function, which is x minus 3. So if I combine these together, I would end up with 4x minus 8. And now I'm supposed to put in 6, so that'll be 4 times 6 minus 8. Right? 4 times 6 is what? 24 minus 8. 24 minus 8 is 16. Good. Now, mind you, you could have just put the 6 in up here, but like I said, if you need to come up with that function, that's what you need to have. So, give you the next one. Give you a few moments to work on that. Let's see if we can come up with another one. Okay, so who we got there? Ernie. What did you get for the function for this? Okay, no problem with that. So we're supposed to take f and add g. F is right there, right? So that would be 3x minus 5. And then we were supposed to add g to it, which is right there, x minus 3. Now these are being added together, right? So that's really all I'm going to do is write that down. So my f function here, my g function there. So now I'm just going to add like terms. Well, that and that go together, correct? So that'll be 4x. This here and this here go together. So that would be minus 8. Does that make sense? Okay. And that's all that it's going to be. That is all that the function is going to be, 4x minus 8. Okay, but the problem is, we are not given anything for x here or given anything for x there. So, because we're not given anything, we just end up using this as the answer. So we could write it if we want, parentheses, f plus g of x would be equal to 4x minus 8. But if you got that, that's all that you needed. Okay. Good. Yeah, it's basically the same idea as what we had last time before we plugged anything in. Good. So, okay, move on to that one. Give you another couple of minutes to play with that and see what you come up with. So, let's see who's got this one. And we end up with, what do we got? Right there. So, Riley, what was the value that you got for this one? Did you do it? Do you know what f of x is? Is that right here? So that would be in parentheses 7x minus 8. Do you know what g of x is? Okay, it's right there. X plus 5. And we are supposed to subtract them, correct? So just like when we were adding things together with like terms, what we want to do is rewrite this 7x minus 8, put the negative on each one of these, so it'll be minus x minus 5. So combine this together, you get 7x minus x. Those two are like terms, so I end up with 6x, negative 8, negative 5 go together, so I get negative 13. So does that make sense how to get to that point? Remember, all we're really doing is combining addition of like terms and putting just two things together. 7x minus x gets you there. Gets you there. So now, what value are we supposed to put in? We're supposed to put in 3. So that means that we have 6 minus 13. 3 goes there. Well, what's 6 times 3? 18 minus 13, and we end up with 5. I see some smiles out there, so somebody, a few people got it right. Again, it's just the same steps over and over again. Combining the like terms or coming from there. So, let's try another one. Okay, give you a few minutes. With this one. So, Kaylee, What did you end up with? Okay. Well, let's see. You were down to this. You had 7x minus 8 minus x plus 5, correct? And the 7x minus 8 stays out here, right? Just like on the last one, the negative goes here and there. Minus x minus 5. So when I combine these together, I end up with 6x minus 13. Signs are the same, guys, so they get added together, right? Which is exactly what we had before. Alrighty, so let's give this a try. The answer was right there. So I'll give you a few minutes. Work on this one. See what you come up with. Don't do it geometrically. I want you to do it algebraically. I want you to come up with it algebraically. Okay, here we go. Let's see who we can. I know I gotta add you back in again. So David, what'd you get, David? Actually, that's better yet. Okay. What else can I do to them? They are adding. But are they like terms? Is this the same as this? And the answer would be no. Why? This one has a variable with it, this one doesn't. If we look back here, we had 7x minus x. Those combine together to get this. Okay? These combine together to make the 13. Okay? So, that's all it is. Now, granted, f was 8 and x was plus 3. This would be the preferred way of doing it because that's writing it in proper form. So, let's see, I don't need to worry about that one. Let's do this one. We'll do that one as the last one. Alrighty, I'll run through this one. So, h is here, parentheses, x plus 6. G is here, x minus 5. What operation is between these? Well, this is multiplication, so that means we do here, x squared minus 5x plus 6x minus 30. Yes? Add like terms in the middle here. X squared minus, that wouldn't be minus, that would be plus 1x, correct? Minus 30. So now I've got the function that's been multiplied together. Last thing that I need to do is plug in a negative 4. So that means negative 4 squared plus 1 times negative 4 minus 30. So that would be 16 minus 4 minus 30. No, 16 minus 4 gives me 12 minus 30 gives me negative 18.